Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host, Louisa, and we are joined today by some very special guests. We have with us Captain Max Steele. Max, welcome to the GoldFish Report.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here.
We have his partner, Nicole Steele, and we want to welcome Nicole. Thank you, and welcome to the GoldFish Report.
Thank you, Louisa. It's a pleasure to be here.
And as always, we have our gracious host, the ambassador of the Red Dragon family. Welcome, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Nice to be here with everyone. It's going to be an exciting program, so let's start.
Okay, right off the top, I have a few announcements to make because I know it's been a while since we've done a GoldFish Report, and we have the summer vacation months, so we do, though, we are on schedule for our GoldFish Reports to move forward, which will be a little bit more regular again. We would like to remind our viewers that the views of our guests do not necessarily represent the views of the GoldFish Report. One of the goals of the GoldFish Report, as you know, is the Ambassador's War on Ignorance, and that is to help wake people up out of their goldfish bowls into the greater sea of awareness. And what that means is we're here to provide information. We're here to provide interviews and testimony from people from their own personal experiences. So it's really not for us to interrogate people and to determine whether or not everything that they say is happened in actuality. We certainly hope that it does. We've had many different guests with many different opinions, and what the ambassador likes to do is present the platform for people to tell their own story. So we'd like to remind our viewers to use your own discernment, and of course this information is there for your research purposes, and we'd like to encourage our viewers to take the information that we present and continue doing your own research with it if it's something that interests you. We also want to remind our viewers, and we want to thank our subscribers on YouTube, and a little bit later on I'm going to show all of our different channels that we have, and we're going to also provide contact information for Captain Max Steele. And we'd like to also remind you to like us on Facebook at the GoldFish Report, and to remind you that the GoldFish Report Facebook page is a 24-hour news site, and it is constantly updated with news stories that are relative to the stories that we present in our reports on the GoldFish Report. We also have our blog on WordPress, and of course our main website, and we'll provide all these links in the description section of this video. So having gotten through those announcements, I'm going to unmute everybody, and we want to welcome Captain Max Steele. And Max is a very interesting individual. Max has worked at Area 51 and Area S4, which many people may recall is a classified area of the United States government that has to do with many different kinds of work. And I think Max is going to explain all of this, but I think it's most known for UFO activity and interactions with maybe off-world entities, ETs, so forth. Max is also a remote viewer, and Max also has a website that we're going to show that features the kinds of services that Max can offer, because Max is a very special person. And what I want to do is welcome Max, and I want Max, if you could give our viewers just a little bit of give us a little bit of information about how you became how it came about. You started working at Area 51, and I know you have a really incredible story, so I'm not sure where you want to start, but I guess, how did you start working? How did it come about you were working at Area 51?
Well, thank you for allowing me to be on your show, and I want to thank the ambassador, yourself, Louisa, and Nicole, my partner. And my beginning is, it's probably better to start at the beginning, of course. I joined the, before I joined the military, I needed some different type of training um, on because it was very important for me in my future. Um, First, I'm going to say that I am a walk-in, and I arrived on Earth in 1958. And through all that time of learning the different things on this planet, I had to go through different ordeals of different types of experiences that I had to go through. Um, I chose to come here and to learn the different ways of the humans on Earth. And one of the reasons I came here was to help Earth and evolve into a higher consciousness. And because where I come from, when I first arrived on Earth in 1958, my people are called the Eliam, Eliam. We are from the 17th universe. At the time when I arrived here, my people, my galactic family was from the ninth dimension. And later on, as the years progress here on Earth, I actually had to go to different evolution and consciousness because of my life that I had to go through here on Earth. I didn't understand why the humans kill humans, you know, because we're not people of violence or any type of that. We're mostly people of peace, love, and harmony, and mostly on my planet, everything is love. Okay, I'm just going to switch around, not give too much detail, just look so the you know it will fit in. Um, well, when I was 17 years old, I my sensei, my martial arts instructor, his name is he's out of Miami, Kendall. His name is Harold Ross, which I became a second degree black belt at the age of 12, and then at the age of 16, a second degree black belt in Taekwondo. And I learned different skills. And he asked me, why don't you go to Japan? And I have special contacts. So at the age of 17, just before my family didn't want me to go on my own because I was very young, but my Earth family. So I went to Japan to a secret location, which I can't disclose because it's where the ninjas train. And I went there. I spent about 3 months, but in different time and different timelines, because I had to go to different places where I could learn different techniques. And then after that, when I left Japan, I came back and in October 29, 1974, I joined the U.S. Army. And then when I finished my basic training in Fort Polk, Louisiana, where I was at, this captain, he came into the barracks and asking if anybody knew how to drive a tractor trailer. And so I rose my hand, and because I was driving very young, and I had a chauffeur's license at the age of 18, but I was driving tractor trailers even before that. I was doing it around when I was 16. And I always liked that, you know. So when my classification was changed, I was taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and there I was given a different classification. I never asked questions what I hauled in the trucks. I always had an escort in the front and rear, and sometimes if it was really classified, really heavy classified, they will have a helicopter flying over me and keeping an eye on everything. So after a few trips to different bases, they put me in a higher classification. Then I picked up a load, and I was taken to Dugway Air Force Base in Dugway, Utah. How I got there, I didn't fly. I went through underground trains, magnetic trains that were underground all over the United States. They had to change my classification to go through there first. And they were observing me at all times, making sure that I was doing the right procedures that they asked me to do. I never asked questions. I didn't have to ask questions because I knew what was going on. They didn't know exactly all the skills and things that I knew because from where I come from, I used them. I still use them still. Then when I got to Dugway, we would travel mostly after midnight, never in the daytime. It's because people are not, not to show what you call the suspicion of a truck with certain details. So they always chose a different highway for us to travel because there's not too much contact with the public there. So I picked up a load at Dugway and headed for Nevada. And I didn't excuse me. I didn't know where I was going really, but I kind of figured out. And then I asked the passenger, I had a soldier next to me. I asked him, where are we going? He says, you don't need to know. But he said, he's in his salts, he said Area 51. So I picked up on what he was thinking about. So finally, when we get there, actually I was driving a flatbed. It had a cover over it. And I knew there was a crack on the inside because I heard it talking. It sensed mostly these UFO crafts that I was hauling. Well, most of them do that. They communicate telepathic with when they pick up another person that does it. At the time, my telepathy was very strong at that time because of different practice in martial arts helped me a lot. And then, so finally we get into where it says Area 51. We go to different, there's no gates anywhere there. It's only for one place when you enter the guard gate when you're actually in Area 51. But in the desert, we had to stop 3 times. And I didn't ask questions. I just stopped, and I saw in my head a machine that was underneath the ground, the dirt, the desert floor. It was scanning the craft. It was scanning the whole, make sure nobody got underneath or anything. So it did that 3 times, and then finally, when we got to the gate. At that time I didn't have I did have a helicopter above me. We arrived in Area 51 around 8 o'clock in the morning on the grounds already. When I'm hauling cargo like that secret cargo, the highway, there's a highway I can't mention, okay? They closed the roads from both ends as far as 50 miles. And so nobody could see what's going on. So we go through there. And finally, when I got to the guard gate, the helicopter takes off the different direction. The front escort and the rear escort turns to the left, and I turn to the right. As I was going to the right, I was going to a mountain that's very secret. And when I got to I kept asking the soldiers, where are we going? I mean, there's nothing here. And all of a sudden, they says, get on the taxiway there and turn right. So I turned right on the taxiway. And I still didn't see anything yet. And then I see a yellow line down the middle. I said, what's that yellow line doing? It says, when you pass it, you'll see it. So it was actually a hologram covering the front of the doorway. And as soon as I crossed the yellow line, believe me, I came within a foot of the yellow line, still couldn't see nothing. As soon as I crossed the line, Actually, that's where the hologram was projected to that line. So I cross in it with a tractor trailer real slow, and all of a sudden it just starts to appear, the entrance to the underground of Area 51. So finally I get there, and there's a few people walking around. There's some Air Force guys there, very little U.S. Army, because I was Army. And finally the person who was next to me says, I want you to go in that tunnel, make a quick right turn, and swing yourself wide. He said, don't tell me how to drive. I know what I'm doing. So, because the guy next to me was pretty snobby. He didn't talk much. But anyway, that's his job. So I go into the tunnel, and actually that's the second. It's an elevator that the whole tractor trailer fits in. And then it said, go ahead and push the button. And actually, it took me to the second level. So I got to the second level, and he says, go forward, make a wide turn, and back up. And that's what I did. And I start picking up a lot of things from the craft. The craft started to communicate with me instantly, told me a lot of things. And so they asked me to leave. So there's these security come up to me and asked me to go with them, which I did. They introduced me to the commander of Area 51. And believe it or not, well, he was a colonel at the U.S. Army. He used to be a captain in the Air Force, because he went from Air Force to Army after that. And I happen to know him personally. He's still a good friend of mine, and he don't live too far from where I live. I do go see him once in a while. He don't like to talk about Area 51 no more, but once in a while I get him going. I get him excited, because he gets excited at what I did after. I didn't have any more loads to go pick up, so they gave me.
Can I interrupt just a second? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just have to interject. I have to ask you a question here. I mean, they didn't know at this point that you had telepathic abilities, or did they? When you were when you were hauling this machinery, when you were hauling these craft, did they know at this point? But they did find out later. Did they know later?
Yes, but that was a little further up.
Okay.
After being there 3 days, at the beginning of the first day, I was given clearance to level 12. That's where my quarters was. I don't know why they sent me so low below 12, because there's quarters in 5 and 6, where mostly everybody's at. Some reason they put me there.
You're saying this is this corresponds to the number of levels below. So this is like the 12th floor. This is like negative 12. We're talking below ground.
Yeah, negative 12. That's correct.
We're not going
there's no above now. Exactly.
Just be clear about that. But they didn't know that you were telepathic, in other words, at this point.
No. My telepathy don't work all the time. It only works at certain times. But anyway, at the first day, they gave us this card that we put around our necks, like they do now. Back then, and other places didn't have it. It was a plastic, like a credit card, and had a magnet in the back, and in the front had my picture. It had the classification. Was not the secret level. So that came later. So the first day. Oh, but let me explain something. When you come up to the door of your quarters where you stay, they already program it, so when you go up to it, the door opens, because it's picking up the signal from the card. Okay, and also picks up the signal because the card is already connected to your body. At the time, I understood because of where I come from. But a normal person, and back in those days, in 1975, when I started driving for the military transport, I forgot what that part. I get sidetracked sometimes, but
the door was reading you, and that's
okay.
what it allowed you to. Is that the card had had some frequency or signature in it? Is that so? Can you explain how that worked?
Yeah. Well, at the time, I didn't know that technology. I mean, the technology that they're using at that time was far superior for a regular human to understand. But from where I come from, to me, it was inferior. The technology was like 500 years back. Okay, so it created a little confusion sometimes. But anyway, when I walked into my quarter, it was very nice. The door opened by air, and once you enter, you can't get out. Okay, it's programmed that way. So when I went in, I didn't like the colors on the wall because it was too dark, and I don't like those colors. But anyway, I changed the scenery inside that room. I never said that before. I changed the scenery in that room, and I was able to stay there. Okay, and came up with a different color. But anyway, the point is that once you're in there, it reads everything about you, your vital signs, your heat from your body, the temperature of your body, your oxygen you're breathing. If it changes, it registers everything. They got video in there. They got video everywhere in that room. And not only that, even in the bathroom, which should be private, they had one. I found it in the mirror. And when I on purpose, I would turn on the hot water in the sink so it will fog up the mirror. But I don't know. After that, it didn't work no more. So what I did, I used shaving cream and cover the camera in the bathroom. Anyway, the very first day, I sat down and I said, you know what, I should meditate. So I meditated and start do different exercise that I do. Because where I come from, we don't use words or letter like I'm talking right now with voice features with frequency. We use symbols and vibration and frequency and then sound. That's how I get the information from my people to now. Okay. Now, the very first day I kept hearing this, some type of communication. It sounded like frequency, like when data has sound and frequency. I was picking that up, and it was trying to talk to me, and I didn't want to listen to it, so I blocked it off. Second day, it did the same thing. Finally, the third day, I said, okay, let's do it. Who are you? Telepathic, I said. He says, she didn't give me her name. I need to talk to you. I need to speak to you. He said, well, I can't get out of this room because it's locked up. And there's videos in here, and it knows everything about me in here. He says, I will take care of that for you. So when it did that, the door opened up. I came out, turned right, because the elevator, you got to turn right, and then turn left, and the elevator's right there on the right-hand side. So I made the mistake of putting my card in the elevator. And I shouldn't have done that. Okay? That created problems later. So the door opened up in the elevator, and I went in, and I put myself in the very back end. And then around level 18, these two scientists walk in. They didn't see me. They were talking so much. I mean, they didn't even look back. You know, when you come in, you usually turn your head automatic to see who's in there. Or when you walk in, you see the person. They didn't see me. She blocked all that. So finally, these two scientists get out, and then I see the elevator going down and down, going down. We got out in level 29. I get out level 29, and now the down level 29 is not the same as higher up because the rooms, the walls are metal, and it's really nice. But when you get down there, it was in a cave. So level 29, I walk out and I hear this noise, like a zumping noise, like pumping water, but it more like you didn't hear liquid, you heard a solid sound. I turned my head to the left, and I saw these bunch of vines. They looked like grapevines, okay, and they were like grayish, and they had these capsules about 18 inches long, probably about 8 inches wide, and there was a creature in there. It was a small gray. It was thousands of them. You could see down the tunnel of the cave, thousands of them. Then I smelled this smell that I know I didn't say that in my interview from the other radio station, but I did smell something. And when I looked, there was 2 tanks. There were approximately 500 gallons each. There was 2 tanks next to each other, and there was blood in them, human blood in it. And I got a little bit, freaking out a little bit, like, wow, what is this? And then, that being told me to turn right, and I did. I went down, turned right, and turned left, and right and left again. And this door opened up in front of me, and I went in, and I saw this female hybrid. It was gray and human. A lot of the features were not all of it. It was more gray than human, but the features of human was the eyes, the nose, and the ears. She had 3 strings of hair coming down from the center of the head down. It was funny looking. At the moment, I kept my cool. I didn't think about laughing or getting funny about it because
let me stop you there, Max. Were those antenna then, do you think, or was that?
No, it's an antenna. They're
just 3 strands of hair.
Yeah, exactly.
And okay, keep going.
And she started asking me about the male. I mean, she asked me a lot of things about sex too, because she picked up on it, and she picked it off me because I don't want to go into that, but
yeah. So, but why was she a scientist trying to collect data, trying to collect information? No, she was just.
No, she was held in that room.
Oh, she was getting in trouble.
Well,
in trouble.
I asked her, how many are you here? She says that only her. And I asked her when she was born, she didn't know. And he said, did you come from a family? He says, no, we don't do that. I do know, she said to me, telepathic, because that's what we were talking. And I asked her, well, don't you have a family? He says, no, we're not born that way. We're born the same way you saw the vines. But she said a part of her was born in that, and the other part was the chromosomes and the cells and the DNA was changed and added to human to it. And that's how they got the hybrid. So it was half human. It was more gray than I would say she was like 75% gray and the other 25% human.
Did she have a soul, Max?
Excuse me?
Did she have a soul?
I don't know if I can answer that. Let me tap into her thoughts, because I still do that. Hold on a second. No soul.
How are they animated? Are they some kind of, they're biological entities, but how are they then animated?
Well, it's a good question. What I would answer is that these hybrids were actually, it was more like an artificial intelligence, and it was mostly between robot and actual, it would probably be flesh, gray flesh, and combination of DNA with humans, and it was the understanding of that's a little hard, difficult to figure it out, but it was mostly, I would say, artificial intelligence. It was trying to learn from me. I asked her how long she'd been in that room. She said she'd been there for about 12 days. And she had noticed me. She picked up on my frequency. And the reason why is because I'm also an extraterrestrial from a very far distant universe. Nicole and myself are. Anyway, and she picked up on that energy, and she said that she was going to help me while I'm inside there. She was going to protect me. I said, no, I don't need no protection. I have my own. And please don't do that. And she accepted it. So after a while talking about sex and this and that, you know, so she understood. She showed me something. She showed me her
reproductive. So the reproductive. Yeah. So she was curious, even though she was grown in an artificial in situ. She was grown in situ, which means contained within, you know, a unit, I guess, an artificial in situ.
I asked her, can she?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. You explain.
I asked her if she can reproduce. She said she didn't know.
So she wanted to find out. That's why she wanted to. So. Exactly,
to find out from me. So
no thanks.
She says, "Can I?" She asked me, "Can I show her my penis?" I felt a little bit uncomfortable, but you know, it's a female. That's the first thing came in my mind. So I showed her, and she, you know, she did have an expression. I'm not going to say what kind of expression, but there was an expression. Then I said to her, well, since I showed you mine, let me see yours.
No, where are we going? No, did she ever see one before? Is that why she had expressed it?
Nah, she's never seen a human being penis, that's for darn sure. She went, whoa.
Oh my goodness. We never talked about this on the GoldFish.
Yeah, well, that's well, anyway, I asked her, let me see yours. So
your story.
She did have a penis. It was the weirdest thing I ever seen in my life.
Whoa.
I can't even explain it, okay? And she did have a vagina. She had both sex.
Okay, that's interesting. A hermaphrodite, yeah.
Yeah. So, man, that's a hard word to say. I don't think I could say that word. But anyway.
But you really weren't supposed to be there doing that? Was this something that, like, you were free to do, or did she manipulate the system or something?
No, she manipulated the system. She manipulated everything. Okay, after talking to her about 15 minutes, pretty close to 20. But I don't know. I lost the time. I think it was about that time. I said, I need to go back. He says, I see the elapse of the video that you installed in the system. She said, how you know that? He says, because I can see it, just like you can. So I need to go back. So he said, we can talk another time. So next time we'll talk telepathic from where I'm at in the room. I don't need to come down here. I did feel presence getting near when I was in that room. I said, there's presence coming here. He says, I know, let's get you out of here. So I didn't walk normally. I kind of moved myself a little faster. She opened the elevator. I got in, went back to level 12, and went back into my room. And I stayed in there and then went to bed and got up, and I'm getting ready to walk out the door, and there's security waiting for me. He says, you need to come with me. He says, okay, not a problem. So we went to level 10. That's where they do all the experiments with people, extraterrestrial and humans. I walk in there, and the commander was there. And then he said a few things. We have a little problem in your room. He says, what is it? He says, are you telling it? I need to ask you some questions. You need to be truthful with me. He says, okay, whatever you say. I mean, what am I going to hide from you? You got everything inside that room. He says, something happened to the video. And also, your vital signs were not showing for about almost 30 minutes. He said, I don't know, maybe your system malfunctioned. Don't they malfunction just like humans do? And he says, no, there's something here not right. So they put this, it looked like a ball. It looked like a ball at the top, but it had these big metal things that when you put over the head, it will, be like this. It will tap right into all the different sensories in your head. And you ain't gonna believe this. Whatever I thought, whatever I think they told me to say, I said, we're gonna do a test. I want you to think about airplane. I said, what kind of airplane? Any airplane. No, there's many airplanes. Which one? Tell me. I said, well, you pick one. So I picked a DC-3 because I know how to fly them. So I thought about DC-3 taking off and landing, and it showed a video of what I was thinking in that monitor. The plane that I described, I put F-U and an OFF on the side of it. I thought about it. And it showed that DC-3 flying and take off with F-U off.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, and they saw it and says, okay, that means it's working. So they started asking me all kinds of questions. Where was I and all this? No, I'm in the room. He said, there's something right. And I kept picking up a second signal in my thoughts that was coming from the same room, but it was coming from a different direction. And I was actually, facing this way, the way I'm facing you right now. And I felt like a signal from this side. And when I picked up on it, it was a gray. It was it was trying to pick my head open. But that gray doesn't know who he's messing with, because I know how to block all that stuff. And then I'd start blocking it. And finally they said to finish the test, and they'll say, you're free to go. And I went to the cafeteria to have breakfast. And that thought, when they took the helmet off and I started going to the cafeteria, and even here's the thing, when you're sitting down eating, your mind is not thinking. Your mind is neutral. Okay? So, information is easy to pick on, to get inside your head. So I knew that was up. So I just kept my mind occupied. DC-3, F-U, off. I kept putting that in my mind. And I noticed that the ET that was trying to get my head, which was a gray, a very negative gray, not the, well, there was a few little ones, but there were some big ones with long arms. Those are real badass. I mean, those are draconians that they had in there. So here I'm doing, so why is the government working with these negative beings? Well, I left it there. So I ate, and I went outside to smoke a Cuban cigar, because I always carry it with them. And so I was smoking outside, and two security come up. He said, the colonel wants to see you, the commander. So I went to escort to his office, and then he says, you're not telling the truth. He says, really? What makes you think I'm not telling you the truth? Because we have ways. Even after you left the room, we have ways. Yeah, I know you got ways. I know what you were trying to do with my head when I was eating. I'm not stupid. You're dealing with somebody beyond what you think. He said, who are you? He says, Max Steele, Captain Max. Well, at the time, I was not a captain. I was a corporal. So I'm Max. But anyway, after that, I had to go pick up a load at Wrights-Patterson Air Force Base. And I asked him what's the flight was. When's the flight leaving? He said, you're not going flight. You're going on the ground. So they took me to level 32, where there was a magnetic type of train. And we took off, and it took about 25, 30 minutes on the ground. See, when you're on the ground, you lose time. It's not the same thing as above ground because you see things and you visualize everything around you. But when you're on the ground, you don't see anything. Okay. And sometimes those trains are dark when you go in there. You go in, it's lighted, and then you strap yourself into a chair with this specialized belts that come around top, like, like planes and aircraft and, fast cars racing. And then, we were there like 25, 30 minutes. I get there. I get out, the door opens. It was all lighted underneath there. And I felt that I was like 18 to 20 levels below. Because I started to pick up a lot of negative extraterrestrial everywhere. And I was ready. I always carry a knife in my right boot, just in case. And so I always kept that with me. So there were all of a sudden 4 security MPs. They told me, you need to come with us. You have to go to the commander first. He will give you some instructions, and then you will leave at midnight. So that's what we did. We got in. I went and rested a little bit. I couldn't sleep very well because of negative energy over there. So finally, the truck was underground. I thought I was going to get it underground. They didn't allow me to do that. They brought it above ground. So I got in the truck. I was given some information, rules, which I already knew. They always like to refresh it, make sure you understand it. So then I signed this clipboard with some special papers. And then the guy that rides with me, he takes them. So we get in the truck. I have escort in front and rear. And after a couple of bases that we stop in the morning, because that's how we travel at midnight on for 4 hours, 5 hours the most. We got headed to, I knew we were heading for Area 51 again. And there was a craft back there because the craft started talking to me. Man, I don't know what these craft, they always talk to me for some reason. I don't know, they feel like they can trust me, That's what I felt. So we get into Nevada, and there was there was a sandstorm, and it hit the truck head on, and the truck moved around a lot. And then after it finished, we went into this place that we stopped mostly, and like some type of rest area. But it's away from the public. It has a different entrance, so we can go in. They made that specially for that. So I said to the guy, "Hey, look, the strap is off on the tarp is coming off." So I jump out. I didn't wait for him. I jumped out. I got a good look at it, and then I cover it down to strap it down. He comes out. Did you see anything? He said, "Did you see anything?" He says, "Yeah, I saw what was in there. I know what's in there all the time. You think I don't know?" So I strapped it down. He said, "Get it in the truck." He finished putting the strap, and I got it in the truck. We take off. We get to Area 51. And right before we start to go over where they check underneath, it's like an x-ray machine, and he said, "Before you enter, I need to get off." So he gets off and makes I forgot to say that in my interview, he makes a call on the radio. And when finally we get to Area 51, where the tunnel where the yellow line would go there. And the commander was already waiting there for me. So I took it inside the tunnel and go down second level. And then they bought this machine that looks like, those cranes where they pull a boat out of the water. They got these straps and goes underneath the belly, and they have one of those. They took the craft off there. But the craft was, the thing is, the craft was floating all that time. And the straps were underneath, but it was like floating in the air, not touching it. But anywhere that crane moved, it moved with it. And they put straps around it so it couldn't get out. They noticed that every time they move it, they move a different direction. So they put a net over it. And commander said, "You got a lot explaining to me, my son." He says, "I'm not your son." I made it clear with them not to play with me. They said, "You got a chip on your shoulder all the time." Yes, I do. It's my own reason. He said, "I'll go wherever you say." And so the security was going to take me in, away again. He said, "No, let him stay." So they took the tarp was still on the crab. They took it off. I saw the crab. And all of a sudden the crab started talking to me. And it was data. It was a different type of data. Oh, it's raining again here. Unbelievable. Anyway, the crab started talking to me. I closed my eyes, and Colonel was watching me. And he was observing me. So finally, I says, "We need to talk. I have to upgrade your classifications. I classify." So we went into his office, and we talked a little bit. And then he said, "Let me give you," he said, "you're going to have to turn in your military ID because you're getting a different one." Okay. So they gave me, which I can say, I'm not going to give you the numbers. I'm just going to say the first letter of the classification. It's Q, the letter Q.
We're talking about a top secret classification. So
Yes.
you left. So previously you had a military clearance, and where was that in terms of, like, let's just use POTUS as a yardstick here. Okay, so where was your military classification compared to the president before this event?
Well, the president didn't have that Q.
No. But
No.
before this event happened, when he said that he wanted to take your military, you're getting a new one. The military was what? What did the military give you? What was your clearance then? And then what was it changed to? Because I know that there's great many levels above the president, in fact, of clearance, of top secret clearance. So you were obviously Q. That's really far at the end of the alphabet. So you must have been about 20 levels above the president at that point. Is that right?
Yeah, not 20, but to be specific, it was 17.
Okay.
Level above the president. And I didn't know that until later. While you're inside that base, you're not allowed to talk to anyone about nothing. Mm. And if you talk to someone, they'll brush you off. I'm sorry, I can't talk. But I could see their ID. I see their different classification letters under ID. Okay, some of them had their ID outward. Okay, I like to keep mine on the inside, but they'd say no, you got to keep it on the outside. Okay, because it's the way it works there. So they gave me that new classification. Now the 17 is not any of the numbers. Just to let you know, some of the listeners, it's not one of the numbers.
Very good. But at this point, is this because they now realize that you weren't simply a transport, that you had some kind of abilities that they were interested in, and they wanted to give you a different chance, because this kind of put you in a different relationship with them?
Yes. They noticed that I had special skills, and the commander said to me, now that you have this classification, I want to show you something. So we get into a military vehicle. We were in a special design. It was half pickup and something else. Well, I would say now that we have SUV very close to it. So we travel in it for 12 miles. I try to get my bearings because if you got a compass on you, they'll take it away from you. They don't want you nothing like that. So I try to look at my bearings, the way the sun was setting and all that, and I figure out where I was. I went 12 miles. I have a way of telling how far I'm gone. Exactly 12 miles. We come to a tunnel beyond these rocks, and we go down. And S4 is actually -4 down. S. So we went down.
Viewers, I'm sorry to interrupt. Just for our viewers, S4 is now another region. For those who aren't familiar, S4 is another area of a different kind of nature, a different security classification. Is it part of Area 51, or is it separate from Area 51, or is it?
Actually, it's separate, but it's a higher. That's why they gave me the Q letter, because it's a higher classification, and that I was given, and I was able to walk around wherever I wanted to, really, because I had that clearance. I gotta tell you that once I got out of the truck and was taken to S4, when I was there was only nine hangars. I heard later there was added a couple more, or I think one more. I think I was taken to the door of a hangar. It was Bay 7. Okay. And the commander said, "You need to stay right here. I'll be right back." But as I was there, I felt that Bay 4, there was a crap there also. And Bay 4, now I find out what crap was an S4, because later on I ran into a little boy, very young, and he was escorted by a scientist named Richard. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. It's not part of my story.
Okay.
But anyway, the commander comes out, and I said, "I know what you're going to show me." He said, "What?" "You're going to show me a disc inside there, because I can see it." "Oh, you can?" "All right, come on in." So I go in, the commander, and these guys were not scientists, the ones that were there with me. There were maintenance and different things. I didn't go into detail. But anyway, I look at the disc. It was approximately 40 to 50 feet diameter, because it was a big hangar. I go, he says, "You think you can open that?" He said, "Open what?" I'm acting stupid, okay? He says, "Possibility." "Well, go underneath and check it out." "First, let me check if there's any radiation." So I waved my hand like this, and there was no radiation. It expired. They've been putting things on it, so anyway. But I got underneath and start walking around, and the craft started talking to me. And they told me to go back the other way. I came back the other way. He says, "Lift your left hand." I put my left hand like this, and I start feeling something that was like a suction cup. And it pulled me, and I put my hands right on the craft, and the craft opened up. The door opened. And the craft says, "Enter by yourself." So I tell the commander, "Listen, I'm going to go inside." And he said, "No, you got to wait for the scientists to get here." I said, "I want to tell you something. You know that chip on my shoulder you keep saying I got? I'm going to tell you right now that if I don't enter this moment, that this door will never open again." He says, "All right, go on in." So I went in. He was a little snobby on me because they always picked on me. Always, always. So I go in the ship. I told the ship, "Close the door." And the door closed. because I came through the bottom up to the center, almost the center of the craft. So I get in there and I see all these lights everywhere. And every time I walk forward, there was different lights changing. So the ship told me to come to the wall. Okay. And I went to the wall, and the wall opened up my height, because at the time I was 6'4". Now I'm 6'10", really 6'11". I've been growing a little bit lately.
Lately growing? Well, you have to share that with us so we can.
Yeah. There's a reason for that too.
Okay.
Well, anyway, I get to the door, and the door kind of like moved me in between the door, and these rings start coming up and down inside each one of them, and then finally, it told me to walk forward. I walked forward, and then the craft instructed me to go to the right. There was a big kind of a silver ring in the floor. As soon as I looked at it, I knew there was the navigator, the pilot's chairs. Okay, there was 4 of them there. And then I took my mind at, so I had to put my hands like this, like if I'm holding a ball, on top of the controls by the wall there. And all of a sudden I felt this tingling of electricity. I could see the electricity was blue, very light blue. It was hitting my fingers, tip of my finger, and then on my palm, because the energy had to keep going around in circle counterclockwise. And I felt that on both of my hands. And when I start, my brain felt like a computer, like when you turn it on, it's configuring the computer for all the softwares in there to make it work properly.
Okay.
That's what I felt like. And I could see everything. It was going so fast, I couldn't keep up with it, but it was being put in here. And I knew how the craft flew. I knew how to fly. It told me how it was made, where it was made, where it came from, and everything about it.
Max, let me just put a little pause in here. You have so much information. This is so compelling, and I'm sure our viewers are really excited to hear about all of this. We're going to have to do this in 2 parts. Would you come back and do this in 2 parts with us, Max?
Of course, 2, 3, or 4. It probably fill up the a 1 terabyte hard drive or more.
And I hate to stop, but what I want to do is, if you could just give us a little bit more information about the craft, and then and how you were able to communicate with it, and then what we want to do, because what this has really done is established you and your abilities. And this is fascinating because, really, this is where we're at this point in time, where people really need to start tapping into their metagene and their abilities to, be psychic, telepathic, things of that nature, which humans are supposed to be able to do. From what I understand, that's what humans were supposed to originally be able to do. And then I want to bring Nicole in, because she's been so patiently, beautifully sitting there waiting in the wings for us to bring her in and talk about your radio show, and what it is that you are able to do. And I've seen that you tap into people while they're on the air on live radio, and I want to be able to have you guys explain what services you do, what you're able to do, and how people can contact you. And we're going to go into that in just a couple more minutes, because we're at about the 1 hour mark, and I just feel like we just got started, which
yeah.
And we're going to have to break this up into a few parts, because this is very captivating. And so I'm going to let you go in and finish the little bit about what the experience was with the craft, and then we're going to go on. We're going to bring Nicole in. And Ambassador, at that point, if you had any questions for Max before we go into the radio show, you can. I'm sure he's very captivated listening to all of this. So go ahead, Max.
Okay, I'm just going to make it a little quick there. The craft said to me, it knew me. Okay, I'm going to reveal for the first time on this show only that I had to say it the first time on my first interview. Uh, I'm breaking certain classified here, but it's not really that bad. It won't hurt very much. I met Sergeant Dan Brad McBolin III there in Area 51, and that's 4. Seeing him, man, we became friends. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, he told me not to reveal the truth of what that disc come from. So I had to make up something. Okay. I said at the beginning of another interview that the craft was procyon. It wasn't procyon. It was reptilian. Okay. That's what that craft was, reptilian. And then later on, with a company of the commander said, "Can you fly it?" He said, "Yes, I can. I'm not a pilot, but I know I can fly it." So he says, "All right, we're going to schedule a flight tomorrow at noon." And I want 2 scientists. I said, "Well, why don't you join us, Commander?" So he did. At noon, we got in the craft, and I moved my hands like this, and the seats come up. And says, "Each one of you sit in one." He said, "Yeah, but the seat is too big." He said, "You sit on it, and I guarantee you'll fit perfectly. And I'll then adjust it to the person's frame of the body." So we got in, and the commander said, "Well, how you gonna get it going?" He said, "If you keep quiet, Commander, I'll get us going. It's not by talking; it's by thoughts." So I sent a command to the ship, and it recognized me, and the certain doors opened up, and we were flying. So I told the ship to fly in a 45-degree angle, and then I told them to go straight up. And within 12 seconds, we were in space. And I always wanted to find out what's behind the moon of those secrets. And I commanded the ship to go behind the moon, the dark side of the moon. And the commander said, "Where are you heading?" He says, "I know, the crap is doing it itself." I lied to him because he would have told me not to go there. He said, "No, it's doing it itself." He says, "Okay, let's see where it takes us." And it took us behind the moon, and I saw a lot of stuff back there that been blocking, our government's been blocking to the public. And everything that people think that they know that's back there, it is there. Just to let you know that. Not go into detail because it's too long. But then I had the craft go around the other side, and I told the craft to go about 1,000,000 miles into space, because I wanted to see some things up there that they think I don't know. And they show me all the things. They says, what is the craft taking us here? He says, "I want to show you something." He said, "I thought you didn't control it." Well, I do sometimes. It does certain things. There was 2 space lab up there. One, it was international. It started long before they said that they started it, because they were going to start.
Are you at the Kuiper Belt at this point? Are you at the Oort cloud? Like, where are you in the solar system at this point?
Did I know what part of the solar system I was at?
Right. Do you, like, can you give us some landmarks where you passed the Kuiper Belt?
Well, there was a lot of stuff out there that the public does not know. Everything that they tell us it's just what they want us to know. There's a lot of stuff out there. There was other spacecrafts out there, and those spacecraft was starting to get a little hostile with us. So I told the craft to cloak itself, go invisible, and turn off the energy fields that's on the craft. Because when you got the energy field, even though you're cloaking invisible, they can also pick up in a different way if there's a craft there. So I told them to turn off those shields, because I already knew the ship. I know everything about the ship. We we were in the Milky Way, of course. We weren't that far from. Actually, the Earth was here, the Moon was here. I had gone around the back side of the Moon, and then we went back this way, toward me. The planet Earth was here, and we went in a different direction because we came out of the other side, and now we're coming back the other way. So we went in, and I noticed. I told the ship to pick up speed, and it did. And I saw the change of the time traveling. I was testing it out because I know all this stuff, even back then. And I tested it, and it did show a different timeline. And believe it or not, to those people who are listening, that you all know that we have ley lines all over the Earth. And they show us pictures of the lines where they go. They were like that. I was able to ask the ship to allow us to see that. And I wanted to learn about the ley line, what they meant. Okay. And as I learned that, I learned how to manipulate those ley lines. I learned the secret. So that's why we went up. I asked the Capt to do that. So finally, the commander says,
I'm sorry, Max. We just want to finish this part up so we can bring Nicole in. So if you wouldn't mind, okay?
all right. I told the Capt, let's head back. And we went back. And then put the Capt where it was. We came out of it, and we went back to Area 51 to debriefing. But it wasn't, he kept saying, you're holding back on us. I said, no, I'm not. You all think I'm a troublemaker. I'm not. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and you bring in Nicole.
Okay, that's quite a cliffhanger because I know that we have still to talk about some jump rooms that, the whole Mars jump room situation, that you've spent time on Mars, that there's so much to talk about, and it's really a cliffhanger, I have to say. Folks, just stand by because Captain Max Steele is going to join us, and we're going to be able to hear more about his incredible, experience and stories at Area 51 and beyond. And if you have questions for Max, you can put them in the, you can go to the goldfishreport.com in the email contact and send them via email for Max for when he comes back. And one of the things that is really interesting, and I hate to just jump off onto a whole other area, but it makes sense because when you have abilities like this, you can help people. You can do more than just talk to and communicate with Capt and other entities. You can communicate and you can access this information to help other human beings, other beings, and you do that. And so now, Nicole, thank you so much for patiently waiting. And Nicole is Nicole Steele, and she is Max's partner. And from what I understand, you might want to give a little background about yourself, Nicole. And as Max said earlier, that you're both from the same area. You're both walk-ins. And could you explain what that is for our viewers? Because some viewers might not really know what a walk-in is. And I'd like to hear it from yourself personally. So go right ahead, Nicole. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. From what I know, as what a walk-in is a separate entity who has made a contract with a human entity on the Earth level to come in and sort of take over that life so that they can almost, I'm going to say, hide in, be able to come in and do the things that they need to do to try to get their mission going. Now with me, it was a little bit different. I didn't come in with all of my memories, and I think that was to protect me. Now, as far as Max goes, he has been on a few radio stations prior to being on Wolf Spirit, and I heard a little bit of his things, and through a mutual friend, we ended up meeting each other last year. and it was very sudden and very unexpected. And seeing him was a bit of a shock because I knew him. And I was in a really bad place. But at the end of 2014, I was put on a suicide program. I was supposed to self-suicide. And they did not want me to come out and show my potential for what I'm able to do. So I kind of hung in there. And Max has helped heal me and helped me understand who I am. And I'm just so grateful for that. And I'm tearing up a little bit. So don't mind.
But you have interesting abilities too. I mean, not only are you a certified massage therapist,
Mm-hmm.
in doing that, and I speak to so many massage therapists who do healing work, because when you're in contact with the body, you're doing energy work. You're not just doing work on the muscles. You're doing energy.
Correct.
Right. And there's an exchange of energy. And there's also, when you can't touch certain areas of the body, that you go above the body and you do.
Yep.
You might want to explain that, because, and you can also remote view. I mean, this is fascinating. And I think for people who, don't want to, stay in the sheeple phase of humanity, I think we want to learn about remote viewing, how to do it, how can we do it, how can we, gain these abilities that we were supposed to have, according to some people, researchers, because it certainly doesn't talk about this in any of the religious texts that I know of, but maybe the ambassador does. But can you explain for us, now, when you said a suicide program, is this part of like a, this is a mind control thing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Because mind control is something that we haven't talked a lot about on the GoldFish Report, but the guests that we've had on have definitely been, I think, have more experience with that. And could you explain that a little bit more?
Well, what happened with me was that I had a Draco entity attached to me that I wasn't aware of. And they ended up sort of taking over, kind of keeping watch on me. They would put me in some very precarious positions that were not good. I mean, I was somewhat put up against my will because I was being shown that I was having some sort of psychoses. And so it wasn't me, though. It was something else that was taking over me. And I had to deal with that. And, oh, was that a pain in the butt. And then when Max finally got rid of that entity for me, I was able to see clearer, a lot clearer, and my abilities probably tenfold immediately. And I had a huge activation about 3 days after Max doing work on me. And I woke up with a huge download with geometry shapes and Merkabas, and it was 2 hours long, and it was about 4 in the morning when it happened. This was back in the summer.
The ambassador has always talked about, that there's these demons or jinns or whatever you want to call, and they can, he could probably talk about that, but it's, I really never heard of demon possession, like seriously, until like a few years ago. And then the ambassador kind of opened my eyes to those kinds of things. And
it makes more sense because
change after having whatever it is. I don't know if it's an exorcism or what happens. I think the ambassador knows. He's been trained in these Asian kinds of theories. He could explain about how to remove these entities. But they definitely make a big change in the person after that happens. From what I've researched, what I've heard, is that what you would say happened with you as well?
That is what happened with me. And there was a very crucial time because I think they knew that I was coming up to be introduced to Max by a mutual friend, and that they did not want that to happen because they wanted me to fail. The Draconians wanted me to fail.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to let them. I'm going to fight till the end,
You sound like Max there. You weren't going to let him. And it's like Max, the two of you can see the same kind of, really warrior type spirit that the two of you have. And so you were able to then recoup your, or I guess you would say they kind of started to blossom, these abilities that you have.
Yes, they've increased a lot. I'm able to do remote healing quite easily when people ask for it, you know, and I get their permission to, I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always ask first. And when Max and I work together, it's incredible some of the things that we're able to do. Hold on, I have to get my passport at the door.
Okay, go ahead and you can put the video. Thanks. So Max, I'm wondering if you can just explain to us about your radio show. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share your website while you're talking, and this way the viewers can see exactly where to go to contact you. Here we're showing your website right now. This is max21d.com. And it gives a little bit of background here. It gives you some information about your ability as a spiritual medium and services. You have a testimony here from someone, from a gentleman who has had some counseling with you. And there's also a button here to describe the services, the kinds of services and techniques that you use. You use several different, you have methods of protection. You clear codes and certain kinds of, I guess, programs that people have. And maybe you can just go and describe this a little bit yourself.
Okay. That is true. I can do all that. I can do many things. I've created a lot of techniques on my own. I've created a way to tap into the subconscious mind of the individual. But before I start doing anything, first thing I do is ask permission. So, so that's what I do. What I do is I ask certain letters and numbers, and because subconscious mind works.
Sorry about that.
Okay, the subconscious mind works. It's tricky. Hard. It's a little hard to get into people's mind and be able to pull out the problems. There's a lot of people that have blockage in their minds, and they can't do certain things because the blockage was put there. Every individual, every human that comes to me for help, they always have some kind of problems. They get attacked by ETs like Greys and Reptilian and Draconian. I know how to stop that. I can stop that really quickly. So I'm able to do that. I'm also able to find out what's causing the blockage. I know how to read the people when they're having chips in their body, biochips. They installed different extraterrestrial, put that in these humans. It depends what category these humans are in. It comes from the family side to see what the family's up to, what they're doing, or they pick up on certain gifts that the humans have. And sometimes it's really bad. A lot of them get taken in the middle of the night when they're sleeping. Some of them are being abused. They come in and you don't know it, but you do feel the weight on your body, and you can't figure out what it is. You're semi-sleep, and they do attack you. They truly have sex with you, with the females. They have sex, and they do that to later on come back and take the fetus away. You're like an experiment. I'm able to stop that. I'm able to stop everything. I read the frequencies through my thoughts. I'm able to find out what frequencies they're using to control the person at that moment. I know how to remove. I can remove also the chips from your body. Um, um, I can do many things.
Well, Max, isn't this? It's not about the sex, though, and the raping. They don't have the kind of empathy and emotions that we have. Is that correct? And
That's correct.
it's about just the whole. It's about the science of reproducing, because why do they need to, you mentioned the vats of blood, and I think you even mentioned that you were required to donate blood. All the workers at Area 51 were required to actually donate blood, so I guess that was your blood in that tank, or some of it.
No.
So
The secret is they never took blood from me. The reason why is, listen, folks, pay attention to what I'm saying. You eat chocolate, a chocolate bar. If you have chocolate inside you, they won't touch you. They'll stay away. Not only the grays, but also the reptilians and their conians. If you have chocolate, you eating chocolate the day before, or you eat that same day, and they pick up on it, they'll leave you alone. They don't want nothing to do with you.
Well, I know the ambassador loves chocolate, and I do too. So there you go, ambassador.
Me too.
There's a really good reason for you to keep eating that chocolate. Keep your bars of chocolate stored up. And I know Miles Johnston always talks about chocolate bars, so I guess this is a trick Miles must know about. He's a friend of ours on the GoldFish Report too. And we have that's an interesting bit of information, though. The chocolate, is it any kind of chocolate? Is it dark or milk chocolate, or
it's gotta be dark. It can't be the white chocolate. It's gotta be dark. Nestle's with almond, if you like almond, this still works. Just regular chocolate. Or drink some chocolate milk. But it's gotta have the strong chocolate. Mm-hmm. What it does is it throws everything off for them. Whatever they've tried, they can't get nothing across. As long as you have chocolate inside your body, they won't touch you. They'll leave you alone. A few secrets I'm gonna let out is not reptilian, but the grays do not like the color red. Number two, if you carry a whistle, only that the dogs can hear, it'd be a good idea if you carry one on your neck. You never know.
They don't like that high, so it's a high-pitched frequency that annoys them or something. Yeah.
Exactly. One thing that really bothers the grays and the reptilian, if you laugh right in front of their face. If you laugh in front of their face. Look, if you are in fear, because they want you to go into fear. If you bring love into your heart and feel the love in your heart, they won't come near you either. Okay? I'm getting visions now. Oh my God, they come in and out. I can't do this right now.
Are they trying to give you a message to give to people?
Yeah. But there's another message here for the ambassador.
Okay, we could talk about that after.
Later.
Yeah, we're almost done. We're going to be finishing up.
Okay.
Just keep
All
that
right.
handy. So the ambassador, are you still there, ambassador? You with us? Or is he?
And he's muted.
Oh, I have him muted. Okay, let me see if I can unmute him. So this is interesting stuff, though. I mean, Ambassador, jump in whenever you get a chance. You may be on. You may have had an interruption, had to step away for a minute. But if you have trouble unmuting Ambassador, could you let me know, and then I can unmute you?
Actually, he can unmute himself. Just click down there.
Yeah, no, there could be some. Let me see. Okay, Ambassador, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you. I'm listening.
Okay, good. So we're going to have a message for you after we're done recording, and we're going to be finishing up pretty soon. Did you have any questions that you wanted to ask Max or Nicole right now before?
No, I'm just taking in information and
okay,
validated. So we'll take it on the next interview. but
Okay.
right now I'm just listening and trying to understand the structure.
Okay, this is fantastic because Max has said that he would join us again so we can continue this because we really just scratched the surface, just barely. Isn't that right, Max?
Yes, it is.
Right. And so I also noticed, Nicole, I'm not sure if it's both of you or just Max, that you can also access the Akashic Records. And why would people want to access that? What's in the Akashic Records that first of all we don't have access to normally, and secondly, why would we want to access that? For people who don't understand what the Akashic Records are, maybe you can explain that.
Well, the Akashic Records is where all the records of your past lives and future lives are in. Akashic Records is it's really in the soul. It's in the soul. The soul is actually where all the information is being put at. Some people, other people might have different opinion about it, how it works. But I'm able to, before I do any sessions, I actually ask for permission first. And I do ask the person permission first, and I ask the guardian angel and the protectors. And some of them give me okay, some don't, but I always use the majority of the vote. And then I go from there. Look, folks, I'm going to say something right now. Right now, everyone here on the planet that has some kind of consciousness, the timelines that we lived in 3 months ago is not the same. There's no more control. I took care of that. My people took care of that. For those negative entities that are listening to what I'm saying, you have no more control of us anymore. Okay? Our timelines have been changed. You have the ability to do whatever you want to do now. You have the control of your own matrix. So use it well, do it for good. Don't do it for bad. Because as soon as you start using it to do harm, it would shut down automatically. And you will be in control again. Okay? This planet has been controlled for thousands and thousands of years. Control humans. They use cell towers and all different ways. They use the cell phones and everything else, and that's how they mind control you. But now you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You can create, manifest. If it doesn't manifest right away, just give it a little time because you're coming out of a control life that you've been in. It takes a little while for it to. But you can do many things. I've been doing a lot of things. I was never in the control of what the humans were going through because me and Nicole are very different than the humans, and our DNA is very different. We have more strands, more DNA strands than the regular human, and there are many things we can do. Okay, I'm not intimidated by any type of mind control because I know how it works. I've never used mind control against anyone in my life since I've been here. I'm a very loving person. Me and Nicole we found each other because she is my soulmate, my twin flame, like some people. Don't be discouraged if you don't find one. You'll find yours. It will find you. That's how it works.
Well, why don't we just tell our viewers a little example of what happened. Yesterday, I woke up with a really bad headache. And as we were preparing for our interview today, it just seems like an electromagnetic headache. Like I was being bombarded with all kinds of electromagnetic frequencies. And that's what it felt like in my head. And it was a headache. It was not a normal headache. And I don't ever normally get headaches. So knock on wood, I've been a kind of person that doesn't get headaches in my lifetime. I have other issues, but not headaches. And for me to have a headache, something's not right. So Max and Nicole were generous. And if you want to explain, Nicole, you know, what, or Max, what you did yesterday, and it helped. It helped my head.
It definitely was some scalar energy that was hitting you, and they were trying to get in your head, literally. And what we did was we focused our intention on removing that energy from your space, and it's not that hard to do. We're pretty good, especially when we work together. So together we do it quite in succinct. We both have the same techniques, which is very cool. And I don't know if Max can explain more how he did his part.
I do it different. We do it the same way, but I take it to a higher, an extra level. I know when frequencies are approaching from different directions. They try to hide the frequencies as they're going toward the human body. They hide it where you don't see it coming. But I'm able to tap into that and able to see what's coming. Not only that, I read the frequency that's coming at. Then what I do before it enters the human body, I neutralize it before it hits the person. Now, if the person has been hit already, I go into the first I ask permission, of course. And when I'm given the permission, because it's a free will, you have the free will. I don't break that rule. So I go into the mind where the frequency has entered the human body. It usually enters through the crown chakra. It depends on what, because mostly all humans here on Earth are extraterrestrial from different places.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the frequency of their DNA is where I go into first. I read that DNA, and then I can see where the DNA has been broken. And when they tap into it when they break the DNA strand, because the DNA strand has frequencies, and everybody's frequency is different from one another because of the vibration and the consciousness they're into. Now, there's one way you can stop that. You have to believe in yourself very highly. You have to be able to believe in yourself and make a strong connection around you that there's no type of energy or to disrupt or to go in your body. You just say it doesn't. What I do is I say to myself, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to let it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let it harm me. Why? I just stop it because I'm a soldier.
Right.
I'm also a fifth. I've been in the military 15 years, and I was after I left transportation, I went into the one. My MOS was 175th Rangers. I went into the Rangers, 101st Airborne, and then as soon as I finished that, I wanted to go something better, not better, but a little bit more higher up. So I went into the United States Special Forces, and I finished my training. And the training of passing a very strict of training is you got to have a good brain.
Well, I think
discipline.
Yeah, he knows. He's very. In fact, he has so much patience that makes us all look bad, especially me, because I don't have as much patience. And I've said to him, I could learn that from him. Because he's very patient, very disciplined, and right now we're going to have to leave it at this because we've had an hour and a half already, and I don't want to over tax anybody's.
Are you kidding?
Anybody's. We're going to leave a cliffhanger here, so we have our guests come back. Max and Nicole, we want to thank you so very much for joining us on the GoldFish Report. It's been a real treat for us. And would you come? So you'll be coming back to visit us again soon, we hope.
As soon as you want.
Our pleasure.
Wonderful. And now
we can do it tomorrow if you want.
Well, Ambassador, did you have any final words that you'd like to say to Max and Nicole?
Yes, I just want to thank you all to come to the program. It was very interesting and enlightening, and I hope to spend some time later talking to you about certain things on one-on-one basis
Hmm.
outside the program. But I thought it was very interesting, and I'd love to have you guys back to continue the discussion.
Yes.
We'd love to come back.
We'd like
Thank
to,
you.
we'll come back.
It'll be a pleasure.
My pleasure. It's also an honor to know you, even though I don't see you. Because you have your
Yes.
reasons. You have your reasons, but I really, I'm honored to know you, and I know you're a very special person. Uh, I've been tapping.
Yeah, of course, we've been tapping into you and feeling your frequencies, and
Well, we're going to leave it right there for that at this moment.
Yeah, I don't want to go any
That's
further.
okay. And I want to ask you guys a few for today. Have any closing comments that you wanted to make or any points that you want to leave our viewers with? This is your first interview. I know we really just scratched the surface, Nicole. We're going to have more time for you next time. I think right now our viewers needed to get a little background on Max and how he has his abilities, how this all came about, and then, really how you guys can really be more of service, because that's what you're really doing here, is to be of service.
yes.
So I'm going to put the contact, the website again in the description section of this video today. We also want to remind our viewers that I'm going to just screen share really quick to share with our viewers. This is, of course, our YouTube channel where we post our reports. It's the GoldFish Report. We also have our blog, which is the GoldFish Report blog on WordPress, which you can find the links for in our description section. And again, just to remind our viewers that we have the GoldFish Report Facebook page, and please follow us, like us on Facebook. This is our report page, our news site. It's a 24-hour news site, and again, we really publish the articles of the guests on topics of the guests that we interview on the GoldFish Report, and some that we want to interview and haven't interviewed yet. And you'll see some posts from Max on there. You'll see some from Cobra, as you see right here, that we've had interviews with Cobra. We'll have another interview with Cobra coming up at the end of the month. Our Exopolitics Roundtable Part 3 will be coming up towards the end of the month of July. And so here you can get an idea of where different kinds of articles that we have. And of course, we have our GoldFish Report homepage, our website, our homepage. So, and one more time, we can view Max's website right here at max21d.com. And I have to find you. Sorry, I lost my brain. Just a minute.
Too much stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, it's a media enterprise we have here, really, and it's we're doing our best to serve humanity and to provide information for people, and to continue to do your own research on these subjects, because this is not CNN, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to present testimony from people from their firsthand experience, and the viewer needs to use their own discernment in terms of deciding what resonates with them, what feels right to them, and by all means continue to do your own research. And just so our viewers know, we are also going to be interviewing Mary Rodwell, who is a researcher regarding the children, the indigo, the crystal children, who come in with these incredible memories of really life on other planets. They come in with memories of engineering technology. I mean, they're little children. They come in with full languages that are not Earth languages, memories of these things. So this is a researcher from Australia who will be joining us next week on the GoldFish Report. And as I mentioned, we will be also interviewing. We'll have our Exopolitics Roundtable Part 3 coming up with Simon Parks, Cobra, Alfred Lambermont Weber, and the Ambassador, of course. And we're going to be discussing our new society and manifesting it. Is that we discuss these things, we manifest them. And we have to remember that we have that power and that control to do that. We're also going to have a very special series coming up soon with presidential candidate Andrew Basaggio. He has a very large list of proposals of, well, I would consider real policy proposals that we're going to go through. He has 100 proposals for making changes and bringing the United States into this new paradigm that Max was talking about, that we're on a new timeline, we're in a new paradigm, and we want to focus on positive change. So Andy's going to be joining us in probably several parts to discuss the 100 proposals of policy that he has lined out for his campaign. And with that being said, I want to thank our viewers for joining us, and this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report.